Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my channel and Mach1Restoration.com. I'm going to do a really simple video here on how to remove valve springs from these small block Ford heads. These heads happen to be out of the project Mach1. These are just regular old 302 smog heads, nothing special. I'll do the video also on some GT40s here, but this is really just going to show you guys that you can remove your valve springs out of your heads without spending, $100 on a valve spring compressor tool. I went over to Harbor Freight today and I picked up this universal overhead valve spring compressor by Pittsburgh. It was under 20 bucks. This is what you get in the box. It's a real simple design. It's spring loaded to grab the spring, and then this goes ahead and pushes down as you crank this. So what you want to do first is you want to go ahead and get these rockers off of here, and mine are just already loosened, they're just hand tight. And you want to make sure before you start that you label where your parts come off of. So if this is the spring and this is the valve and these are the locks and that, that's the valve guide and the rocker, all the bolt, everything has to mate back up to this particular valve train area. So what I do, I go across and I label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 Ziploc bags. In the first Ziploc bag, I label it 1. I put all the parts from number 1. 2, all the parts from number 2, so on and so forth. So just a little quick tip there before you start hacking in all this and you pull your whole valve train apart and then you got parts that are not familiar with the head. So first you want to pull out your rocker retaining nut here. Pull off your rocker arm here. That's going to expose your valve spring. Now these are under pretty damn good tension. I mean, you want to make sure you're wearing a good set of gloves with this compressor, because this spiral rotator does want to dig into your fingers. So the first thing you want to do is you want to silence your phone. First thing you want to do, get this in here on the spring. Like that. You're just basically just trying to get a nice loose fit. You want to check and make sure that it's got a nice, the spring tension has got a nice little bit of clamp on here. You want to start to tighten this down up here. Let me see if I can get the camera to. I'm simply just tightening down on the overhead crank. You want to kind of keep your fingers here and align it and make sure that these landings are going to press down on this retainer, but they're not going to get in the way of your keepers. So your keepers are the things that you're trying to free up. So let's go ahead and just make sure we're nice and centered here, and it's starting to get some tension, it's starting to get some friction going. You want to just double check it, make sure you're centered, make sure that this isn't going to slip off and smack you in the face. Okay, you use 2 hands, grab it nice and centered like that, start cranking down on it. It starts to get harder and harder, but you can see the spring starts to move now, because now the tension is relieved off of it. Keep cranking down on it, and what you're looking for is this movement here in the valve. You're looking to get just enough. Let me remove that cap. You're looking to get just enough to where you can get your keepers off of here. You're not looking to compress the spring 100%. You just want to get it enough to be able to work with it. Okay. Got it pretty well compressed. Probably going to go for a couple more turns there. Check the valve. What I'm doing is I'm pushing up on the bottom of the valve, and what I'm looking to do is get more clearance in here to get these keepers out of here. So let's give it a couple more turns. Okay, that should be good. Let me get some pliers. What you want to do is get your needle nose in here, and this is in 2 pieces, and it forms a complete circle. So what you want to do is just kind of move it around, kind of get it to where you can grab them. They'll start to separate because there's no tension on them. Push down on the spring a little bit, Don't mar up the metal. Take your time. Get them to kind of want to walk out on you. Probably could have went another turn on the compressor. Almost. There's our first keeper. Forms a half circle. Don't lose those. I'm gonna put them down here. And our second one just fell out. So there's our second one right there. No, it's not. The second one's over here. Hang on. Now you want to get your second one out of here. It's got some grease on it, so it's wanting to be sticky. The key is to this is really just take your time, because you're not trying to win a race. You want to do a good job. You don't want to mess anything up. These springs aren't cheap. You get a nice good grip on there, and there's the second one. Now, this valve spring is free. What you want to do is gently lift up on it. There's your valve spring. Now remember, this is still under compression, so be careful. You don't want this to slip out and shoot across the room or potentially hurt somebody, hit you in the face or whatever. So what I do, flip this around, I put a good amount of tension on here, point it away from myself, and I'll go ahead and start loosening the compressor, making sure that I got a good grip on the spring in case it does slip. I keep my fingers out of here just as a precaution, and just slowly loosen it up, and you'll start to feel the spring uncompress in your hand up here. Loosen it up until you feel no more tension on there. It's nice and spring's nice and loose now. Now what you can go ahead and do, pull your spring out of the compressor. There's your spring, and this just flopped into my hand here. This is your retainers, locks and whatnot. Make sure this all stays together. Now this is two pieces on the Ford. Got your spring, and you got a piece here in the center that sometimes wants to come out on you, sometimes it doesn't. But this piece, yeah, this one's not wanting to come out. But this is two pieces, so it can come apart. Don't let it drop and fall onto your workbench and whatnot. So there's that. Okay, now that you have your spring off, you got your keepers, you got your retainers, you got everything, your rocker spring, everything's here. Now what you want to do is pull out your valve. So to try to keep this in frame here, push down on your valve nice and gently. It'll kind of free up. Pull it out the bottom here. And there's your valve. Mine came back from the machine shop. They're still fairly, in my opinion, gummed up and shitty. I'm not too happy with the way that looks. This will all get cleaned up, be put back in the motor, ready to go. So now you have all your pieces here. You still have a valve seal right here. So you want to pull this valve seal off. Make sure it looks good, inspect it, make sure there's no problems here. That's the valve seal. Get that off of there. Now you're fully disassembled. So now you got a cylinder here that's completely, your cylinder, you got a spring here that's been completely removed with its rocker and its respective parts. Now make sure, what I like to do, I'll clean all this stuff off, I'll wipe it all down, make sure it's all clean. Then I'll put everything back together the way it came off that valve. So I'll slide all these parts on here to make sure that they stay together nice and clean. Slide this on here. I'll throw the cap on the top of it, the bolt. All this will go into a bag and it'll be labeled. Then I'll write the number 3 right here, and I'll write a 3 on the bag. This way it corresponds to that particular area. So when I'm done doing a port and polish, or I'm done working on this cylinder head, everything goes back together the way it came out. So I hope this helps out some people. Sorry for my lingo, it may not be correct all the time. Just an average guy in a garage working just like you guys. So remember, Harbor Freight, under 20 bucks. Hasn't steered me wrong yet. I got about, I'd say about 2.5 to 3 heads I've already pulled springs off of. Getting ready to pull the springs off of these GT40s, and I'm going to do a port and polish video as well. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to go to Mach1Restoration.com, and you can check out all the photos and the videos, and you can follow the whole story about the Mach 1 and getting it going again. So thanks for watching. Okay, let's just do a little recap here of what I was talking about properly labeling. these are the parts that we just took out of area 3 here. So we have 3 marked here on the block. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put these in a bag labeled 3. Everything's been wiped off and cleaned. Here's number 2, as you can see. So we know that 2 goes along with this area in the valve train. So get yourself a cheap ass set of Ziploc bags. They'll save you a hell of a lot of grief and big repairs later on when you put the wrong parts in the wrong areas here. So there's 2, there's 3. Here's our head, it's coming along. We still have to do number 1 here. I have the parts over on the bench. I just was trying to take a look at this valve stem. But yeah, there we go. There's my nice little setup here. Let me do a little flip up over here on this head. You can kind of see what we took out. There's our valve removed. There's a valve already in there. So you can kind of see making some headway here. So once we pop this one out, that'll be the 3rd one. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you going to Mach1Restoration.com, and we'll get you soon. See ya.